With the early exit of the playoffs comes an early visit from the postseason awards. We'll get to that coming up next. A few other things as well here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Some of you took joy in the Mets getting beat yesterday by the Dodgers. I didn't, because it's not the Milwaukee Brewers playing the Dodgers, which that should have been us. Could have been us, should have been us. I know we shouldn't be talking about that yet, but still, that still does stick in my craw. How you doing, everybody? Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Longtime sportscaster here in Wisconsin, and we are still here talking Brewers baseball with you daily. All off season, we're going to be updating you on news, notes, anything that goes down with the Milwaukee Brewers, rumors. Hey, us in the media, we love those rumors. Sometimes they don't come true. Sometimes they do. We get to all that coming up here in the weeks and months ahead here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start every season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com. That is FanDuel.com. Off the top, somebody did ask me, Chuck, spring training, is it really all that great like you say it is? Yeah, it is. The baseball, and this is a guy who messaged me on YouTube, said, Jeff, matter of fact, you know what? Going down to spring training is wonderful. It is. I love going down there, going to games, relaxed atmosphere. Yeah, you don't care about the score or anything like that. And, somebody might look good in spring training. You don't read anything in any of that. Just go down there and enjoy yourself. It just gets you ready for the baseball season. It just gets you fired up for the baseball season. Possibly there's a move or two that's always made during spring training. But, getting out there. Now, I don't like where the Brewers have their ballpark in Phoenix. I liked it back in the days when it was in Chandler. I love that area. I think of the places where the Brewers do hold spring training, it's probably in the worst area that any of the spring training sites are down there, bar none. But still, once you're in the ballpark, you kind of forget about the surroundings. You're out there in the beautiful Arizona air, plus you get a chance to golf. So yes, I would always encourage anybody, if you have the wherewithal, to get down to spring training and enjoy it. And it's not like it's going to cost you $200 a day for a hotel either. Go to booking.com, by the way. They're not a sponsor of this show today, but they're a sponsor of Locked On Brewers, and they'll point you in the right direction. You don't have to be spending $250 for a hotel. Some of you are worried about some of the rates and all that. No, you get it much, much better than that. Okay, postseason awards for the Milwaukee Brewers came out here on a Monday. Again, probably a little earlier than we thought because of the Brewers' early exit in the postseason, their fifth year in a row with an early exit. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. MVP of the team, was there any surprise it was going to be William Contreras? Solid wire to wire, batted .281, 23 homers, 92 RBIs. And what most impresses me is from the catcher spot, whether he caught or he DH'd, he played in 155 games. 155 games. Of the 162, he played in 155 games. Willy, for that matter, too. I don't have the exact count here, but Willy, as you know, Adames was in practically every game as well. That's quite impressive for a catcher. Again, he's not catching 155, but he's playing in nearly every game. When he wasn't catching, he was DHing. And that's valuable when you're as good a hitter as him. That, even though catching, that's a workhorse position. That's taking your toll on your knees, your back, everything. It takes its toll on you as a catcher. But on the days you have off and Gary's in there catching, you're saying to yourself, well, I still want to be in the lineup, and I need to be in the lineup. And Contreras has no problem DHing. I love that. Going to work every day knowing that Contreras is in the lineup. All-star, team MVP. Yeah, could you have made a case for Willy Adames? Of course you could. And certainly Jackson Chourio, you could have made a case for him to get a couple of votes, MVP votes in the league. All his clutch at bats and all that. But Will Contreras helped get this team off to a great start. In the first month or two, helped put this team, directed the team with his leadership behind the plate, in the locker room, at the plate. I mean, Contreras, not that he fell off. Well, he did a little bit because he was batting in the 330s early on in the season. And I know those averages get skewed early in the season. But Will Contreras, MVP type season for the Brewers, yeah, he would be the team MVP. And he's earned it from the very beginning in so many different ways. When your catcher can hit 281, 23 homers, 92 RBIs, and appear in 155 games in one form or another, that to me is the MVP, Will Contreras. Not to mention what he does defensively and his back picks and all that. All great for Will Contreras. Pitcher of the year. The MVP pitcher of the year. For most of the season, I would have said Brian Hudson. And I still don't fully understand the Brian Hudson thing. Why Brian Hudson was not there on a daily basis. I know they sent him down to the minors, but Brian Hudson, man, he was sailing along. The guy got an ERA of under 2. Brian Hudson deserves some merit for pitcher of the year. But Tobias Myers, 9-6, a 3.00 earned run average. 5th rookie to ever win the pitcher of the year in the Brewer organization. Peter Ladd did it in 1983, although Ladd was on this team in 82. You know, the guy with the big mustache who was getting the final out in the ALCS. That's Pete Ladd on the mound, who came in, helped the season, saved the season for the Brewers in 82 when Raleigh Fingers was out. So, but he won it in 83. Yes, 83 might have been technically his rookie season. Higuera in 85, one of the best left-handers in Brewers history. Junior Guerra, kind of forget Junior Guerra in 2016, won pitcher of the year. Devin Williams in 2020, not to diminish it, but it was a strike shortened season. But he did win pitcher of the year. Devin Williams, you could argue, would win pitcher of the year every year. That's how good he is. But he won rookie of the year in 20. It was his first year, 2020, even though they played ridiculous 60 games that season. But Tobias, throwing the fact that he pitched 5 scoreless innings in the postseason, he did, and probably could have kept on going. You know, probably Freddie could have kept on going too. But Tobias Myers, MVP pitcher, a guy none of us projected to be on this team. I mean, do we even talk about Tobias Myers in spring training? No. But he came up, was going to make a couple of starts until I can't remember the injury. He came up because of an injury and he filled in, and he was so good that you couldn't send him down. I mean, Tobias was so good you couldn't send him down, and ended up being MVP. And Tobias, as was reaffirmed by manager Pat Murphy, Tobias Myers will have a spot in the rotation. No surprise there. But yeah, MVP, Contreras, most valuable pitcher, Tobias Myers. Top newcomer, Jackson Chourio. Not only should be the top newcomer in the Brewers organization on this Brewers team, but in baseball, if there was an award. Jackson Chourio was great. Well, rookie of the year, I guess, technically is top newcomer. But they go top newcomer, I believe, to the team. That's what they mean. Top newcomer, whether you're a rookie or not. Best edition. And yeah, he put in MVP numbers, 275, 21 homers, 79 RBIs. And again, I look at all the clutch moments that Chourio came through. I mean, look at the postseason. Let's factor in the postseason on these awards, which we never do. But the postseason, how Jackson hit home runs on game 2, a home run early on, and then the tying home run in the 8th inning, setting the stage for the game winner. But yeah, Jackson Chourio, no doubt. And I think Jackson has got an upside to him. As great as he was this year, there's more there with Jackson Chourio. I think, obviously, all these guys reach a ceiling, but his ceiling is far from being done. He's going to do a lot of good things by the time these years are done. Jackson Chourio, these 6 years are done with Chourio, or 8 years, or whatever it is. 8 years are done with Chourio. But we'll see how he is in the offseason. I've already told you he's going to be the face of the team. When you get your marketing from the Milwaukee Brewers, either in the mail for season tickets or on email if you're on the list. Jackson Chourio, his face will be on all that. He's replaced Christian Yelich as the face of this team. Top newcomer, Jackson Chourio. Yes, not only, but that won't be the last award he wins. He'll compete for MVPs on not only his team, but in the National League and a lot more things. Jackson Chourio, this is just like one of several pieces of hardware this kid is going to win before it's all done. Most importantly, hopefully he leads us to a World Series championship. But we're far from that right now. We just got to talk about getting back into the postseason next year and getting by the first round. Still kind of sticks in my craw a little bit too. Pat Murphy complaining last week that he heard somebody say that the Brewers have the regular season figured out, but not the postseason. That's true. They don't have the postseason figured out. And they had a great regular season, but they don't have the postseason figured out. And I know it's lucky sometimes and where you are and who gets hot and all that, but still, let's avoid that first round. Give themselves some more wiggle room. Unsung Hero Award, Jared Koenig, 9-4, 2.47 earned run average. Yes. Opponent's batting average, 229. Jared Koenig. Yes. Unsung hero. He, along with Hudson, huge out of that bullpen in middle relief. You can give the unsung hero to Trevor McGill as well, too. But I guess, he had his 20 saves or so. But he rescued them. But Jared Koenig, I think the unsung hero is a guy who flies under the radar, which Koenig did 9, but not under the radar as far as popularity, but not under the radar as far as the Brewers' appreciation for him. 9-4, 2.47 earned run average. Good Guy Award. You had to give Willy Adames the parting gift right here. Good Guy Award. And not because of the parting gift, but Willy Adames would win the Good Guy Award probably every year he was on the Brewers. This is the Good Guy Award doesn't even count what he does at the plate, but his locker room, the way he kind of tutored Jackson Chourio all season long, just his leadership out there, leadership in the clubhouse and dealing with the media as well. Adames, whether he had a 4 strikeout game, which I don't think he ever had, maybe, or he had a big 3-run home run, he would always be there talking in front of his locker and describing his feelings and talking about himself and talking about the team. That's, to me, a sign of a real man right there. A guy who's going to stand up for himself, stand up for his team. Hey, it's easy to be out in front of the cameras when you're winning, but how are you when you lose? Willy Adames is like that. Brewers have a number of guys like that, actually. I'm not singling him out, but that's just another great quality he's got. Christian Yelich, there's a few guys the Brewers have had currently and in present. Matt Garza, not one of those guys. Not the Good Guy Award. Would never even consider him for a Good Guy Award when he was here. But without question, Good Guy Award, Willy Adames. And I know some of you, I see it on Twitter, still holding out hope that they can sign him to a contract. I've seen some of the figures out there, 6 years, $150 million. He's not going to take the hometown discount. Now, I know he's talked about, he doesn't like talking about money because, quite frankly, that's his business, about what he's going to make and how he's going to do in the free agent market. In the media, we ask him, but that's his business. No one's asking us, well, geez, how much money are you going to make if you're going to stay with this company? No, that's not anybody's business. And what Willie does financially and what he does for his family, no, that's his business. Okay. And he's going to do it right, whatever he wants. But he's not, I can tell you, as nobody would in his spot, take the hometown discount. He's not from Milwaukee. It's not like he's got a special. Nobody. Craig Counsell did not take the hometown discount, and and I wouldn't put it on Craig either to take the hometown discount, because he's from Milwaukee, he's from Whitefish Bay, but he wasn't going to take the hometown discount. When you're a professional athlete, you need to go out there and make as much money as possible. Sure, maybe later on in the year, you could have you could take the hometown. Maybe later on in your career, you could take the hometown discount. Maybe, Maybe. But these guys, even toward the end of their career, they're looking to get the best possible contract. That's why the Brewer, like a guy like Paul Goldschmidt, would have no problem going to another team. He's trying to get it. He's trying to do what's best for his family, feed his family, do whatever, make the most amount of money, because the window of obviously for being a pro athlete is so short. And if you're in this game for 10 years or more, that's even a less probability. So Adames is going to do what he is going to do. But I'm telling you, being around these pro athletes, ain't nobody want to take the hometown discount. Ain't nobody. We wouldn't do that in our jobs, and he's not going to do it in his job. So it's not happening. Which, I thought too, maybe in the offseason, they probably should have. Well, no, because if you traded him in the offseason, you would have got the the compensatory pick, but you probably wouldn't have been in the postseason. You probably wouldn't have been in the postseason. It was worth Willy staying here, and you're going to get the pick. You're going to get the pick. So they'll lose him to free agency. He's not coming back. We're going to have more time this offseason to talk about Corbin Burn, about Devin Williams, whether they should trade him. And who says money doesn't buy championships? We'll get to all that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Good to have you along here on Locked On Brewers. This episode brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You get a hunch in the middle of the game. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play right there. So there's so much more on that same page where you place your bets. All the live play-by-play for those of you guys who like to do live plays, live betting. It's all right there, right in front of you with the live play-by-play on FanDuel. And you'll get started with $200. $200 in bonus bets. $200 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet. Whether or not you win that $5 bet or not, you get $200 in bonus bets with FanDuel.com. With all the sports going to be going on at the same time, the baseball playoffs, they're going on. You got college basketball here in a couple of weeks, college football every day. Right now, you have college football or the NFL every day. We're in the midst of a game every day. Get in all the action, and you'll get started again. $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Whether or not you win or you lose, or you push that first $5 bet. At FanDuel, visit them at FanDuel.com. This is Chuck Freeman on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Hey, by the way, you get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. Our podcast is there, right there waiting for you. We're going to be on daily here in the offseason. We got a lot of things to talk about in the postseason. Who should be back? Who shouldn't be back? Rumors. Where do we go from here so we don't end up in another first-round loss? But all that, you get us on all those audio platforms. And please, if you're listening to us on the audio platform, go to our YouTube page, search Locked On Brewers, and please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. And all the content is free. You don't have to pay any daily fee, no tipping, none of that. It's all right here, free for you every day here on Locked On Brewers. All right, the money thing. And I'm sure you saw this. 3 teams right now, the Dodgers, Yankees, and the Mets, payroll of over $300 million, which the Brewers can't even come close to. But those 3 teams are competing for the championships. The World Series. They're still playing. Cleveland's payroll, not as much. But the Dodgers, Yankees, and Mets. This is what Major League Baseball wants. They want these 3 teams. This is, if you ask the commissioner, or if you ask anybody, they'll tell you, oh, no, we want parity. We want all these teams. Yeah, well, you want a team like the Milwaukee Brewers to get to where they are so they can job for a New York Mets team. Ain't nobody in Major League Baseball office who is disappointed when the Mets beat the Brewers. Let's face it. Major League Baseball, okay, the powers that be loved it when the Mets beat the Brewers, when Alonso hit that home run. Why? Because they want the big markets in there. They could care less about us in Milwaukee. That's why there'll never be a salary cap. There will never be any of that. All teams do not play on the same platform in baseball. And that's why you see the Dodgers, Yankees, and Mets. 3 of the 4 teams still left with a payroll of $300 million or more. Yep. It's never going to happen. Yeah, that's what Major League Baseball got what it wanted. They show the Yankees, at nauseam on national TV, the Dodgers as well. The Mets, they just love the fact that Mets made that big run and got into the postseason. Would much rather have the Mets than the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's a big market, but it's not a passionate market. The Diamondbacks baseball market down there in Phoenix, great golfing area, but man, terrible sports town. Terrible sports town. New York, great sports town, passionate, and they got the big market for their advertisers. All right, so how are we going to end this skid where the Brewers have been a first-round exit 5 years in a row? 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, and 24, although I don't count 2020. It's a first round. They're going to have to get better, and they're going to have to get better through the trade market. I've singled out a couple of guys here who they should possibly have their eyes on. And Devin Williams is on the trade block. He is definitely going to be on the trade block. In fact, of all the players who are on the trade block in Major League Baseball, Devin Williams might be the most valuable commodity, or one of the most valuable commodities out there. And you can get a load back for him. But I also feel the Brewers, and of course, if you trade Devin, you got to trade him to a contender. A losing team is not trading for Devin Williams, because what's the purpose of the Pittsburgh Pirates would have no use for Devin Williams because they're trying to win. They're just trying to win. They don't win enough games to worry about the closer spot. The Brewers for years, like in the 90s, didn't have to worry about that. They could have Doug Jones come out there. He was their closer, and he did a nice job in 96 or 97, but they don't need. The Brewers need a closer. The Yankees, there's teams out there would love to have Devin Williams close out their games. But if you're a bad baseball team, so that kind of limits your options when you tried trading a Devin Williams. But we'll talk more about that in the offseason. But I feel like they have to fetch a little bit more in return than what they got for Corbin Burnes. Not that I'm dissatisfied with Ortiz, or DL Hall. I just felt like they could have got a little bit more. And I feel like they need to do the same thing with Corbin Burnes. So 2 guys who I'm targeting right now, I'm thinking of. I did tell you about my free agent signing. I wanted Bergman on this team. That's one move they could make. Otherwise, I'm looking at Ryan McMahon with the Rockies, who's going to be on the trade block. Guy who made an all-star team for the first time this year, third baseman. I would be great having Ryan McMahon as my third baseman, assuming you're moving into Ortiz, the shortstop. Ryan McMahon, that's the guy who I've got circled. Bregman's at the top of my list, but if you had to trade for Ryan McMahon, I'd be good at that. We'll talk about that more as we get into the offseason here. We're coming right back, and down the stretch we come here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Ibotta, another great sponsor here of Locked On Brewers. Well, whatever you buy, sandals, sunscreen for going down south, whether you're buying a rake, home improvements for your house, taking a dream vacation, use the Ibotta app. It's a free app that lets you get cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies, you name it. Ibotta is there for you, and it all totals up. You can save on over 2,400 brands, 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Macy's, Lowe's, Best Buy, Sephora. They're all on there. But right now, Ibotta is offering listeners $5 just for trying an Ibotta by using that promo code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. So download the app, You get the free $5 for using the promo code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Go to the App Store, Google Play, download the Ibotta app, start earning cash back today. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Ibotta, IBOTTA, Google Play, the App Store. Use the promo code LOCKEDONBrewers where you can get cash back every time you shop, along with 50 million other users with Ibotta. This is Chuck Freeman on Locked On Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. So there we go. The postseason awards. We talked about it. Contreras is MVP. Myers is Pitcher of the Year. Churio, top newcomer. Jared Koenig, Unsung Hero. Adames, Good Guy Award. And I've thrown out a couple of acquisitions. A couple of names out there who I'd be interested in. Not only do I like Bregman, but Ryan McMahon from the Colorado Rockies. Love for him to play me some third base. I'm very interested in the Devin Williams move and what kind of load they would get back for him. So I'm telling you, I think that's almost a guarantee that they trade him in the offseason. You like his price tag for next year, but you have others waiting in the wings to possibly close in the future. He's a great closer. He's the best closer in the game. Devin Williams, I think, will be traded in the offseason. That'll be something we'll be heavily monitoring. All right, that's going to do it for me. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers. Thanks for making us our first listen to every day here on Locked On Brewers. And those of you who want a second listen to hear all the postseason play, and I'll be appearing on this show periodically as well, my guy Sully on Locked On MLB. He's got all the news and notes from the baseball postseason. That's your second listen. But thanks for making us our first listen every day. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Have yourself a great Monday, everybody.